all the kudos to the chairman are very much deserved. She's done a fantastic job leading this port into a period of extraordinary growth, and we are extremely honored to be able to serve with her at the Port of Houston. It is my particular honor to make this introduction to you today because Covestro, before that Bayer, before that Mobay, has been such an important partner to my city in the city of Baytown. I would like to report, I think earlier in his remarks, Rod Herrick mentioned that they had 17 employees. I would like to report in the last hour and 15 minutes they've hired over 16,000 more, and they're now up to 17,000 employees, Rod, you'll be glad to know. So it's a rapidly growing company. But Covestro's been a great partner to the city of Baytown. Their employees are interested in every aspect of our city. They adopt elementary schools to help tutor kids. They are extremely active in STEM education in our community, and they've just been one of our great community partners. So it's going to be my great pleasure to introduce to you this morning Jerry McCleary, who is the chairman and CEO of Covestro LLC. He joined Covestro in 1979 as an accountant. I have an accounting degree, and thank goodness I didn't have to use it. He's basically worked his way up through the entire organization, working in sales and various marketing, general management, all the way up to the pinnacle of leadership in this company, including several stints in Germany. He serves as chairman of the American Chemistry Council's Executive Committee. He serves on the board of directors for the National Association of Manufacturers. He's a resident of the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where he serves on the United Way of Southwestern Pennsylvania and various boards, including the Board of Trustees for the Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh Foundation. He holds a bachelor's degree in accounting from West Virginia University. He's married, has 3 children, and resides in a suburb of Pittsburgh. For those of you who are football fans, as of this last weekend, he is the new president of the Pittsburgh chapter of the Patrick Mahomes fan club, who is a Texas Tech graduate, by the way. So, my alma mater. So, please help me welcome Jerry McCleary. Jerry?
Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. And I also want to thank you for all your years of service in the Baytown City. Fantastic. Well, yeah, okay, we start off and about football, U of T. I heard a little bit about that. And, of course, then I heard about Kansas City and, I guess, a quarterback that came in and destroyed our Pittsburgh Steelers. So you heard I am from Pittsburgh. I was born and raised there, moved around the world several times. But, yeah, I mean, we were always proud of our professional football. We don't talk about our baseball team much. Our hockey team we talk a little bit about. Congratulations on your baseball team, a great team. And this year I really thought 2 teams are going to really make it, and that was the Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And we both together are doing a great job getting started with no wins. So we have something in common right now. But on more serious points, once again, thank you, Mayor Don Carlos. And thanks to everyone in the Economic Alliance and Houston Port region for organizing this annual forum. You know, for everything you do that really helps our communities of the Houston Ship Channel to make it the great places that we live and work. So thank you. And for everyone else, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I know it's after lunch and everything, but I will try to keep your attention here for maybe 20, 25 minutes. You know, today I've been invited to come in here to share with you a status update at Covestro, where we are, where we're headed, and also talk about how we're implementing sustainability into our company. You know, this region is really important to us. So it's really important of going forward with what we're talking about, advancing sustainability, but economically, environmentally, and also socially. Many of you know Covestro, who we are, but some of you who might not. We're a global producer of polymers and high-tech performance plastics raw materials. They're transformed into everyday products that you're very much aware of. In fact, we always say, you're never more than 6 feet away from any of our Covestro materials. Well, from the adhesives holding your shoes together, then the insulation in the roof above us, and also even the polycarbonate cover that protects your cell phone. So our products can be found everywhere. You know, we've had operations in this region in one way or another for nearly 5 decades. Our Covestro Industrial Park in Baytown is our largest manufacturing site in North America. And it's one of 3 strategic sites globally, and it generates a little over $3 billion of sales annually. I'm proud to be joined by my colleague Rod Herrick, as Rod Herrick is our Senior Vice President of the Baytown site. And I will say this to him, I don't usually give him a lot of compliments, but I will say this to him in front of everybody. He actually makes managing the Baytown site look easy. And we all know how extremely important and the responsibility of managing and leading that site. And he has some members of his leadership team here today. So thank you so much for doing what you do down here. You know, we have roughly 2,500 employees in the United States, and a little over 1,000 of them work here in Baytown. Now, you add that to 600 or so contractors, then you understand why this region is so important to our company, Covestro. Our site includes 1,700 acres, greenbelt of more than 1,100 acres, strategically located at Cedar Bayou, along the bayou and the ship channel. We also have several employees running our polyether polyols production facility at the LyondellBasell complex in Channelview. You know, all 3 of our business units, called polyurethanes, polycarbonates, and our coatings, have had manufacturing in Baytown for nearly 50 years. And as you heard before, first is Mobe, then Miles, then Bayer Material Science, and now as Covestro. So as we say, while we're only 3 years old, we've been in the chemical industry for over 80 years, and we do have around 16,000 to 17,000 employees globally. You know, while this gives us a tremendous advantage, we've also had the great opportunity to reinvent ourselves as an independent company. When we spun off from Bayer in 2015, we gave ourselves a new name, but also a colorful new logo. You know, we started building a bold new culture to match, one, infused with new perspectives, an entrepreneur spirit, and while putting sustainability at the heart of our innovation and business strategy, and also empowering people and their sense of purpose help drive it all. And I'll get to that a little later. Remember back in 2010, when we were still Bayer Material Science, and this conference first kicked off in response to the 2008-9 economic downturn. Times were decidedly different. I don't have to tell you that there was a lot of uncertainty about the economy back then. And that's the home of many of the country's leading petrochemical and energy companies. It was an anxiety felt deeply. The chemical industry alone is the 2nd largest manufacturing industry in Texas. So the stakes for you and for us was enormous. Now, let's fast forward that 8 years until today. You know, we've experienced a steady recovery over that time. The chemical industry today is now poised for substantial growth this year and right through 2021. Our industry trade group, American Chemistry Council, or ACC for short, just issued its mid-year situation and outlook report. It predicts the industry will grow faster than the overall U.S. economy over the next 3 years. Now, what's driving that growth? Rise in exports, upswing in manufacturing, balanced chemical inventories, healthy demand from end-use markets, and favorable, very favorable, shale gas economics. Looking ahead, we have broad gains in U.S. manufacturing, construction, and export markets bode well for our continued growth. You know, despite a slow start, U.S. chemical production is expected to expand about 3.4% this year and about 3.6% in 2019. Over the next 18 months or so, the forecast calls for solid growth across multiple chemical sectors, especially fertilizers, crop science, coatings, consumer products, and petrochemicals. And of course, the Gulf Coast plays a crucial role in all of this, with the Greater Houston Partnership predicting regional growth in the manufacturing sector, which includes chemicals. You know, the decision to make Baytown our home has proven a sound investment. The region has a lot to offer companies like ours: abundant energy supply, proximity to feedstock, access to well-established transportation infrastructure to import and export raw materials. And that continues to be the case today. So all in all, a very, very positive picture. There is, however, one thing that looms above all the industries these days, and I'm talking about disruption. You know, technology is great, but when it comes to opportunities to upend businesses, industries, markets, governments, you name it, technology does it. And disruption creates uncertainty. And right now, as you know, the industry faces uncertainty around trade and tariffs. But there are other factors, like continued advances in artificial intelligence, digital, robotics, and automation. And not to mention the new technologies we don't even know about at this time. And of course, there's always Mother Nature. You know, this region is no stranger to her capabilities. So while the news is good, few things are ever carved in stone. One thing, however, I believe is certain, and that is stakeholders and their demands they place on us. You know, stakeholders will continue to hold us accountable, to push for our industries and our companies and hold us accountable, to adopt more responsible, sustainable business practices. And by stakeholders, I don't just mean our customers and our shareholders. I mean our employees, activist investors, and government and regulatory agencies, NGOs, consumer groups, the media, and of course, everyday citizens inspired by the power of social media and their smartphones. You know, these stakeholders believe that we have a responsibility to help solve society's problems. And for companies who do not act responsibly, there are real consequences. Not just in our industry, companies across the board, from finance and banking to entertainment, technology, and everything in between. You know, we've seen CEOs resign, stock prices plummet, companies collapse. We've seen lawsuits, fines, federal and state investigations, congressional hearings, and the list goes on and on. You know, as stewards of our companies, we have to pay attention. I personally believe that we, industry, must be part of the solution. At Covestro, we take our social responsibility seriously. As you heard before from Rod, our vision is to make the world a brighter place. At first, our employees didn't know what that really meant. But by brighter, we mean making more intelligent use of our materials that are lighter, they perform better, and have a smaller carbon footprint. And today, we're living this vision by embedding sustainability into the very heart of our business and innovation strategy. So that means sustainability informs everything we do, from the research our scientists are doing in the laboratory, to the daily operations of our physical facilities, and to the social purpose work our employees are engaging in throughout the community. At Covestro, we subscribe to the triple bottom line of people, planet, and prosperity. We call them the 3 Ps. The 3 Ps require us to develop products and processes that improve people's lives, help conserve the planet, and move the company's business forward all at the same time. When we launched Covestro in 2015, we articulated our focus on sustainability as a new innovation driver, and that's the prosperity P. Covestro also officially signed on to the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which is the planet P. How many people know of the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals? Show of hands. We have a lot of work to do to understand. You should look them up and read them. It's actually the platform that most companies in our industry are using as a foundation to push sustainability forward. What else we're doing is here in the United States, we launched our company-wide social responsibility program called I3, Ignite, Imagine, and Innovate. It aims to spark the curiosity of our employees so they can envision what could be, and then help create it. And that's the third P, people. To us, all three P are of equal importance. It's a constant balancing act. We won't make improvements in one P at the detriment to another. But this balancing act also means that for us, innovation and sustainability, they go hand in hand. You can't do one without the other. And yes, we've had a good start. For years, our products have been used by the construction, also by automotive and design industries to make their own products lighter, more energy efficient, and sustainable. The great part is that as we were helping other industries to meet their sustainability targets, we were building on our own. And we'll continue to do it today with a focus on 5 specific areas. The first relates to R&D. I mentioned that Covestro has formally signed on to the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. These goals speak to the many of the same social, environmental issues our stakeholders expect us to address. Things like mitigating climate change, reducing social inequities, improving education, and reducing risk from products. By the year 2025, 80% of our R&D project spending will be targeted in areas that contribute to achieving the UN goals. What that means, we're working on finding sustainable solutions to the greatest challenges of our times: resource depletion, population growth, changing mobility needs, and increasing urbanization. Our second long-term goal relates to procurement, where we're anchoring our sustainability requirements among all the suppliers in our value chain. We require our suppliers to be evaluated by EcoVadis, the same international rating agency that measures Covestro's sustainability performance. We hold ourselves to the same high standards that we expect from all our suppliers. Goal number 3 relates to production. Our aim is to reduce specific greenhouse gas emissions by 50% by the year 2025. Now here we really made good progress. Originally, we had a target to reduce by 40% by year 2020, but we already hit that target 4 years ahead of schedule. So we set an even more ambitious target of 50%. And I would expect someday that number to even go higher. The fourth long-term goal ties back to our products. We want to use them to improve the lives of people in underserved markets. For instance, recently we contributed materials to give farmers in Indonesia an affordable way to store and preserve food so they can get the most from their harvests. Finally, long-term goal number 5. It focuses on use of carbon. Now, this area is truly innovation at its best. Several years ago, our scientists successfully developed a plastics manufacturing process that allows us to replace crude oil, the raw material that creates CO2, with CO2 itself. With this new process, we're harnessing waste CO2, integrating it back into production chain to make an innovative polyol that's transformed into flexible polyurethane foam for mattresses and furniture. We're squeezing this resource to get every ounce of productivity out of its life cycle, especially its after use. And in doing so, we're also increasing the productivity of carbon and showing how it is an asset that can drive growth and innovation. The environmental benefits are clear, and it's also excellent for business. We're creating value for us and for our customers by essentially taking a free raw material that's plentiful, waste CO2, and using it as a building block for foam. 2 years ago in 2016, we opened a new production facility in Germany dedicated to manufacturing this CO2-based polyol. And we're investing heavily in this technology platform for uses beyond foam, because we do at Covestro see both the short and long-term profitability of this play. Our scientists are looking at plant-based materials, and we know it as biomass, as another raw material that can replace fossil fuels in the manufacturing process. These innovations are just beginning, and they have enormous promise, but not only for Covestro, but for the chemical industry at large. Think about it. Expanding the raw material base, they have the potential to make the industry significantly more sustainable And I promise you that's something the chemical industry is very interested in. Last summer, the American Chemistry Council agreed on a set of sustainability principles. 2-year discussion. Why are we doing this? To the point we have total commitment. And as you know, the American Chemistry Council represents many of our competitors and our suppliers, all who've come to the table to make a unified commitment. We are all pledging to advance safe and innovative chemical products that accelerate sustainability while doing more to manage our footprint. I'm very proud to chair the ACC's Executive Committee as well as the Sustainability Committee. And I can tell you that we are holding the industry to an aggressive implementation plan with aggressive goals to match. Early this year, the ACC announced 3 new goals for its plastics division. It included a commitment of U.S. plastics producers to recycle or recover all plastics packaging used in the United States by the year 2040. It's a bold target, but it gives you an idea how the industry is really stepping up and help to create a more sustainable future. Marine debris. It's another important issue which the ACC has been working on and been engaged in for a few years. And Covestro is working closely with ACC as well as the United Nations to tackle this extremely complex global challenge. Earlier this spring, Covestro joined the UN Global Compact's newly launched Sustainable Ocean Business Action Platform. We're going to take a leadership role to develop solutions that reduce and ultimately eliminate plastics from the world's oceans. But even before that, we had signed on to Operation Clean Sweep, which is a marine debris storage program administered by ACC and other plastics associations around the world. You know, the focus is on keeping plastic resin pellets out of our waterways through proper containment, reclamation, and or disposals. You know, these are just some examples of how we're working with national and international industry peers, organizations, to push sustainable business practices and the global goals. This is something that's extremely important for the industry. And in the near future, you'll be hearing some more next steps of what we're going to take and invest in to make sure we can solve and eliminate all plastics to the environment. Here, we're also working at the local level. I said earlier that the industry must be involved. Well, Hurricane Harvey is a perfect example. You know, I was here in March, so I did remember the message that came across loud and clear when the ACC and the Texas Chemical Council hosted the Hurricane Forum here in Houston. We came so we could share our pre-Harvey strategies and the collective lessons learned and to prove our response planning for the future. You know, even with all of our tight disaster protocols in place at Covestro, Harvey was an unprecedented storm that required an unprecedented response. You know, our culture of preparedness and safety, it definitely helped prevent major chemical-related incidents and supported hundreds of industry employees through the state. Still, storms will continue to threaten this region, and we will have to continuously challenge ourselves in how we prepare and respond. But you know what? It's precisely this vulnerability that has made us more nimble, flexible, responsive industry that we are today. All characteristics essential for growth. Harvey showed us just how much damage a Category 3 storm can inflict. The interesting thing about storms is that they tend to pave the way for even larger storms. Well, don't want to imagine, but we all know a Category 5 would be more than devastating here. So the lesson is this: big storms must and require big thinking. Covestro, like many of our peers and others, are in favor of the coastal spine barrier system, which could not only protect our industrial assets from storm surge, but our employees and communities as well. You know, it's critically important that we protect this region for all the reasons you heard all day. It's for the sake of our industries, our businesses, but most important, our people. Among them, the nearly 79,000 men and women employed by the chemical industry. They enjoy good paying careers to sustain their families and their communities. And over and above that, the industry supports more than 335,000 other jobs throughout the state. The good news is that despite the storms, the region continues to be a major petrochemical hub with continuing investments and expansion projects, not just in Houston, but up and down the entire coastline. And just in the past 5 years, over $12 billion was invested within 10 miles of the Covestro site, and the number continues to climb. And all this growth, combined with the ongoing retirement of baby boomers, they mean one thing: this region is a place for jobs. We need the people to fill them. The caveat is, we need people who are equipped with the scientific and technical skills to do the jobs we offer. And if your company is anything like Covestro, it's not always the easiest thing. And that's one reason workforce development initiatives are such a major part of Baytown's social innovation. We learned long ago that if you want a STEM literate workforce that's diverse and inclusive, we need to invest in one. And sustainability of our industry definitely depends on it. So we do invest. Our goal is to bring the underrepresented groups into the STEM workforce pipeline as early as possible. And to do that, we take a cradle-to-career approach with our local I3 STEM program, with a strong focus on women and underrepresented minorities. You know, Covestro's I3 STEM program provides innovative experiential solutions, beginning in elementary school at the Goose Creek Independent School District, where our employees volunteer in the classroom, and also at the I3 STEM Center at Eddie V. Gray Wetland Center. You know, then it progresses through junior and high school with our support of Goose Creek STEM Academy, robotics clubs, mentoring, career counseling, science fair judging, as well as giving students an opportunity to attend special STEM programs like Green Light for Girls and iFly. You know, we are proud of the new Covestro Manufacturing Lab at Stewart Career Tech High School. The lab offers the students the valuable hands-on learning opportunities and on commercial-grade lab equipment used in instrumentation, quality, and construction careers, as well as many of the petrochemicals industry's specialized crafts. You know, it gives students a firsthand look at career opportunities in manufacturing fields that are based in Baytown. At the higher education level, we support female and underrepresented minority students in 2- and 4-year colleges with scholarships and internships. Also, our participation in the National Association of Manufacturers Step Ahead initiative is all about developing women in manufacturing jobs and preparing them for leadership roles. You know, what I've been describing is our commitment to quality education, inclusion, and economic opportunity. It all has to do with the people part of the 3 Ps. We're looking to people, both inside and outside our company, to power our sustainability work. You might have heard from Rod to understand what Covestro, how it was developed. But collaboration is critical. It underpins all of our work we do. And that's where the CO definitely does come and pays tribute to. You know, for example, Covestro has teamed up with the United Nations Environment Program on an initiative called Young Champions of the Earth. You know, I'm mentioning some of these things because 5 years ago, we never talked about them. And the change is moving fast. We want to be at the table and part of the solution and be leaders. That's what we and other companies in our industry in this region must do if we want to sustain our business. You know, this Young Champions of the Earth, it celebrates and supports 18 to 30-year-olds who have outstanding ideas for saving the environment. Why not be part of that? Last year, our winner was from North America, a young Canadian woman. She committed to slowing down fast fashion, as she called it, with her clothing company by using a sustainable manufacturing and a closed-loop business approach. Amazing what she's doing. So next week, our 2018 winners from 6 regional global regions will be announced in New York. Now, closer to home and back into Baytown, a group of our employees are taking out-of-the-box approaches to create an environment where people want to work and live. A few years ago, when the site was expanding, our sustainability team found a way to recycle more than 50,000 tons of concrete and 100,000 cubic yards of dirt left from the demolition. And they avoided the landfill completely. And what they did, they crushed the concrete into limestone mix, then used it to pave storage areas and driveways at the plant. And the remaining dirt, they designed landscape mounds near the plant's outer boundary, which have now grown lush and green with trees and bushes. You know, that's the kind of thinking, the kind of people power we prize. We also look at people and their sense of purpose as a way to build community. You know, I've already mentioned our school volunteers, but we also have employees engaged in a brand new kind of volunteering that supports local nonprofit organizations that work every day to address the goals laid out by the UN. Things like no poverty, zero hunger, quality education, and sustainable cities and communities. Here is where our employees get truly engaged in giving back and see firsthand the impact of their work. Anybody familiar with skills-based volunteerism? Well, I hope Covestro is. We have one more. This is great. We got one. Well, we'll learn more about this. It's working great up in Baytown sector and up in Pittsburgh. It involves teams of employees who are paired with nonprofits to help the nonprofits address operational issues they face they don't have the resources or skill sets to fix. It could be in IT, marketing, finance, systems, anything. You know what, we look at it, it's really about training employees to become citizen philanthropists and empowering their personal sense of purpose to make a difference to the world. For the Eddie V. Gray Wetland Center, the Covestro skills-based team developed a feasibility study that helped the center assess the pros and cons of merging with the Baytown Nature Center. Another team designed a data management and infrastructure update for the Art League of Baytown. And as we speak, there's 3 other teams just finishing up their projects this summer with the Bay Area Homeless Services, CASA of Liberty, which stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocates in helping kids in foster care, and the animal rescue organization, A Life to Live. You know, we found out it's just not Covestro employees who want these opportunities. Earlier this year, we released the findings of our first ever I3 index, as we called it. It was a national survey of American business leaders who said, bottom line, their employees want more opportunities for social purpose work. They also recognize that they're going to need to offer employees more of these kind of opportunities if they want to attract the best and brightest people. Skills-based volunteering is working for us, and it can work for everyone. You know, today I've given you a pretty broad picture of how Covestro is using the framework of the UN Sustainable Development Goals to advance its commitment to the 3 Ps. You know, our work with carbon and biomass and resource conservation, it clearly benefits the planet and our prosperity. And our social purpose work is enabling our people to reach their full potential as they build organizations and communities and make them stronger. You know, I share these stories with you as an example of how we have embraced sustainability as a company. You know, Covestro has come a long way in the last few years, and we're very proud of where we are today. But I also know, and our people know, we can do much more. And I also believe that our industry can and must do a lot more. Sustainability means different things to different people. To me, it's very simple. It represents opportunity. Every company, no matter how large or small, has an opportunity to think in new, innovative, and responsible ways. Hurricane preparedness, workforce development, energy-efficient products and processes, community building. These are all opportunities to shape the future that we want, and we want to do better. So my challenge to you today is simply this: seize the opportunities. Because at the end of the day, the most important of the 3 Ps, in my opinion, is the people. The people working in our industry today, as you can look around the room, they got the knowledge, they got the passion, and they got the purpose to create a more sustainable world with our products and our companies that benefits future generations as much as it benefits us. I want to thank you for the time of listening to me, and I thank you, and I want you to have a safe day. Thank you.